Okay, welcome to yep, you read that correct there a second ago, the part 2 of this multi-part episode where we will today be flying the awesome PMDG for Microsoft Flight Simulator 777-300ER, which was, in fact, just released. We've got our stairway here, and what I'd like to do before we hop on board for this extensively long flight duration today is pull up a picture for you, right? So you can see there some of the basic weights. This is all filed and will be imported to the aircraft from SimBrief, right? I like to fly SimBrief because it helps with calculating fuel burn and altitudes and waypoints, of course. So seeing that is the nice visual version of it. Let me take that off the screen and essentially show you the Navigraph version of that, right? You can see a lot of the numbers. These numbers were indeed imported from the Navigraph charts, and it basically gives us a block fuel of 178,180 pounds, as I have this in pounds. So that's how much we're going to need, right? There are some concerns here because we are indeed at Kilo Papa Alpha Echo still, right? And that is 777's home base. Those blue doors, that's where they make the 777s, right? All of these aircraft, the new 777X, which is still yet at the time of this video to be certified, it came out. Our aircraft came out of there, and we are parked here up at the stand because we are flying to, you guessed it, Japan. More specifically, if I bring this back up, yes, indeed, Romeo, Juliet, Bravo, Bravo. That is Kansai Airport, right? International. So that's the airport that literally was built up from the sea or the bay, right? And it's actually slowly sinking every single year, and they say that it may not stop sinking and it may disappear back into the water someday. So we need to take our PMDG over there on the ferry flight. We are not flying with passengers because we want to keep this flight management system happy. We're going to take off from 34 left over here, just beyond our horizontal fin there. We don't want to take off the right. There is a right version of 34, but it's more general aviation length, and we need to make sure that, sorry, let me just show you that again. There you go. That's 34 left where we're taking off from, and then 34 right over there. Anyhow, so to bring this back up, right, we want to make sure that we don't take off overweight. By the way, if you haven't noticed, this will be a longer length video, so if you're interested in longer boring flights and information on this aircraft for a long review, this is sort of the only way to cover these aircraft, to fly them in long distances at long periods of time. 10.5 block-hour flights. I am going to do that in real time just to check out the stability and to see the sights and hear the sounds, right? So, thanks for joining me if you stay for the whole thing. We won't be actually filming the whole northwestern arc, but the important moments will be captured for sure. So, we've got all of our information. We know where we're going. What we need to do is hop on board and get this aircraft ready for departure, right? Ferry flight to Japan, no passengers. Let's remove that from the scene there. Let's just go ahead and hop on board. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so one of the very first things we need on an aircraft is electrical power. We have no GPU, right? So we're going to have to power this up with our own internal systems. First thing I want to do, let's just turn off all of the air conditioning pressurization systems, the packs, and let's also remove the window heat so we don't burn out the heating elements for the window. Battery is on. I'm going to go ahead and start the APU up. There we go. My giant pork roll fingers messing about with our new $300 million aircraft, right? So I'll turn on some of these systems while we essentially wait for the APU to fire up. As a matter of fact, I'd like to turn off the emergency lights because they are not in my best interest right now, for no other reason other than I just want to experience the ambience of this without being flooded with a whole bunch of floodlight. So let's turn on the APU generator, and while the aircraft is powering up, I'd like to go ahead and let's remove some of these ground service vehicles. I'd like to get basically just the fuel truck. So we're not going to start with an air starter. I'd like to go through these slow because I believe that it allows the ability to see everything that's going on here with these pages and whatnot. We'll get the fuel truck out here. We will release the stairs. And then we'll go to essentially close all of the doors there. Let's check that out. See if we can see our port side doors are indeed all closed. Well, that's good. See if we can close our cargo doors there. Not with those machines there. We will work on that later, because what I would like to do first, actually, now that we have our aircraft fired up, we have to make sure, yes, that the APU generators are on. I have quick align for our navigational systems here, and that's always a good thing. So once that's done, let's hop on down here, and I'm going to slide on over here to the actions, and then I will leave that page up for there, and then I'll come back over here, right, to our page here, so that we basically can get that started up. Once, obviously, all of these systems come online, we'll be good to go. I'd like to get to, let's see here, I'm forgetting all my hotkeys. Let's go back a page, and then let's go to the performance tool, and let's start looking at our flight plan here. Okay, so there you go. It's not coming up yet, essentially because we need to program in our flight management system. So there we go. Quick disclaimer. My simulator is, as a matter of fact, just was very recently, like yesterday, updated to the nav data AirX cycle, but the plane did not accept it at this point. We're just going to have to use this one. That's okay for flying purposes, and as that's the fast align, that's fantastic. So Kilo Papa Alpha Echo as a reference airport. All of these functions are now indeed online, right? We are getting our position programmed, and let's go back to the FMS here, right? So we know we need a lot of fuel. Right now we only have 13,300 pounds. Nowhere's near enough for an engine, or two engines in an aircraft this big, to actually get anywheres except maybe to the end of the runway. So in an effort to fix that, we're going to go ahead and go back, and what we need to do is get our flight plan in. So let's get our route going in here. What I will do is type in the obvious: Romeo, Juliet, Bravo, Bravo. And that's good. Let's actually request the route. And oh gosh, I gotta find this now. Aha. So if we come back over here, let's do this. Makes sense if you know what you're doing first, which I don't. So there we go. Now we've got our EFB pre-programmed with all the information we need. Let's return, and let's request the route. There you go. So with that, we can set our payload and the convenience of setting our fuel. 178,200 pounds of fuel. That is indeed what we want. we are going to select it and activate it. We are going to be taking off of 34 left. And then that, let's see if we've got, there we go. Everything's uploading there. And let's get that all programmed in. I believe, me being the non-professional, hopefully it programs the waypoints. If not, we'll have to do that ourselves. Activate and execute. Let's try to program that back in again. 34 left, execute. There we go. There is all of our direct waypoints via. That's what we wanted to see. Let's go back to our gross weight. Now this is a stepped flight plan, so we're going to be cruising initially at flight level 360 or 36,000 feet, but we are going to be going a lot higher than that. So what I want to do here is let's go back to the aircraft in the EFB here, and we're going to look at the performance tool, and then 34 left, dry conditions, everything is imported, and we'll import the weather. So if we calculate now, this is why you want proper weights when leaving at a specific length runway, right? This is a delivery factory, right? This is not the longest airstrip in the world. We would have problems here, essentially, if we were not within the CG and the weight limits. So the aircraft wants a flaps 5 condition, and it's telling us that our CG is 26.8. Let's see if we can actually get the gross weight in here by pressing the button for the quick update. If not, we'll have to type it in manually. There we go. Zero fuel weight. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. Let's accept that. And then let's go to some thrust performance numbers here. So we'll take off 1, climb 1. And let's see if I can get the 17C in there. Yes, indeed. Okay. Flaps 5. And it had said, essentially, if we come back over here, that our CG was 26.8. So we're going to go to 27 because we're going to round up. And we're going to hit the next page. Wants to know what our wind is. Apologies, there's a lot of back and forth here. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. 160 at 5 knots. So let's type in 160 at 5. Slope, I'm not sure if this runway has a slope. Let's see what it says. 0.0. That in there with dry conditions, reference outside temperature. The aircraft is telling us 16 degrees Celsius, and that is our takeoff data. So takeoff gross weight, we had that before. Let's see if we can auto-populate. If not, let's head back here, takeoff gross weight. Where are we at here? And that is the direct reference, just to cross-reference and make sure on the EFB plus that, both being how they need to be set, right? Okay, so let's check out our legs. That essentially is the departure. So let me go ahead and pull up our navigraph here and just show you that, so to speak. Standard instrument departure, pane 6. So we're just basically flying straight out to the ATP waypoint, right? There is no standard instrument departure. There is no departure route, right? So we're just gonna fly the waypoints as the aircraft has them from SimBrief. So that's all good. Gives us our speeds, gives us our restrictions at altitudes. So 360, right? That's where we step up Orville to flight level 380. And then Nubda, flight level 400. So that there is all set. Essentially, we have 34, right? There's no SID, so we can't pick anything. It already knows that 34 left is our active. So that is all confirmed. We will deal with the Kansai arrival in almost 5,000 nautical miles from now, so we're not going to worry about that. And let's just make sure that everything is good. We have it all programmed in, and I do believe that we are ready to move to the next phase. I'd like to get the air conditioning flowing so that we don't effectively burn up here. Everything is great. Fantastic. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and prepare for the next phase. So essentially we know what we're going to be doing here, right? We check the EFB out. I'd like to call for a tug and have this aircraft towed essentially, well, maybe like straight perpendicular with the runway there, so that we can just basically turn left, go to the end, and get out of town, fly our route, call it a day. So let's get towed out there, and once we are on the active taxiway, we'll work on starting the aircraft up. Checklists and all, hopefully. Catch you in a second. Okay, and that looks about right to me. Let's go ahead and see if we can set the parking brake here and then disconnect this tug when he is ready for us, and then we can get out of here. Once we dispatch him, we'll do the startup, we'll do everything required. See, he's still lowering us down. So I guess this type of tug essentially picks up your front nose wheel and prevents the nose wheel from actually turning because it just stays in place, so you don't really have to worry about damaging your steering links or anything. That's really cool. Okay, let's get this aircraft fired up, shall we? So we're not going to use strobes today, even though technically I guess there's a little bit of residual cloud cover out there, right? We're going to throw our seatbelts on anyways, even though there are no passengers as previously stated. But let's go ahead and throw on our taxi lights. Let's throw on the beacon. Let's just throw it all on. And we'll put all of our lights on. Let's see what that looks like, as a matter of fact, outside while we're at it. Excellent. Very nice bloom off of those lights, especially that nose gear looks really nice. Strobes working. So we're not going to yell no clear prop or anything like that, right? But essentially, if there were anybody out there, they would know that something is up and we're about ready to start. So let's go ahead and get this aircraft running. Let's throw on the electrics for the hydraulics. We'll leave our generators off for now as we are powered electrically by our APU. Packs are off. Everything is in auto. And I believe we are ready to start. So to do that, let's go ahead and make sure that our transponder is in the transmit receive. It is. We are squawking 1234 for our flight number there. And we'll go ahead and rotate. Start with the right hand first, auto start on, so that essentially the Starter kicks off by itself. We'll throw on the fuel pumps. We'll throw on the crosses and the centers. Okay, vital statistics look good. We've got oil quantity, we've got oil pressure. Let's throw our fuel on there, huh? And that's a successful light off. Let's go ahead and put our eyes essentially up to the top again and start our left-hand motor. Fuel pumps can come on. Right generator on. Right pack, right trim air. Okay, and left-hand stat, oil pressure rising and plenty of oil quantity. Introduce the burn. And there we go, the beginning of a light off. EGT rise. Well within the green. Divert our attention yet again up to the trim air and the packs. We'll go ahead and throw our left main on once we see all of our yellows out, which they are. Make sure that we are generating. Everything is on. We're going to leave the window heats off for now and start sequence cutout on the left-hand engine. So APU generator off, APU off. Okay, center our view back up here, and window heat. So when we look at our message system here, we already know window heat, right? We already know. APU's on cooldown, and then it will shut off. So flight directors on. I'm going to go ahead and program for a max of 250 with the auto throttle. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to look at our legs page again real quick. 45, let's say 4,600 nautical miles from here. Just to be sure. Okay. Let's throw out our range. We need to set our barometric pressures, of course. That was 29 or 9 or 1. Yep. Easy there. Having an issue grabbing onto the right knobs there. Okay, now I don't know if this is crossed, so we'll have to check. Right, 29 or 9 or 1 on the standby, as well as the co-pilot PFD. Everything is good there. Barometric pressure is set. Engines are alive. Let's come down here. We'll look at the EFB. And we are essentially ready to go for 34 left. Okay, just a couple quick things here. Let's set our runway heading for 340 degrees, aka runway heading. Let's go ahead and look on down here and RTO, rejected takeoff. So we've got that set. I've also gone down here, plugged in our V speeds, right? So that we have those on our PFD now. Everything should be going according to plan with that. And I am not seeing any warnings. I am not seeing any cautions other than the APU generator and amber, but obviously that's not running, that's long shut off. We know that we need to throw on our window heats now because we are approaching the active for takeoff. We've set our flaps to 5 and indicate it on 5. Everything is right where it needs to be. So, I've also set my trim for our CG and the takeoff roll. And we're going to taxi all the way to the end of the threshold here and get as much length as we can because we always obviously want as much room for error as possible. So, hopefully everybody's ready for this, as this will be my first time attempting a full-blown takeoff from the PMDG 777-300ER. No traffic. And no traffic. Obviously, we're not calling out any ATC. We're not talking to the wonky systems here in Flight Simulator, nor are we on VATSIM. But there it is. We are on the active. Checklist incomplete normal. So that mention about the checklist, it actually knows, there you go, you want study level? It knows that we are essentially on the active and that we did not complete the checklist, which is actually really cool to show you the level of detail that this aircraft has. It knows where you are. Very interesting. However, due to the weather and my unfortunate approach to having to take a 10-hour flight, we are going to skip that. And I would like to start our clock and power up. Let's get out of here. Okay. Wonderful sounds. Those 115s. General Electric. Whew. Quite the sound, quite the horsepower. Of course, 80 knots. Cross-checked. V1. And as we're fairly light, we're at the rotate just like that. And we are off. Let's go ahead and rotate our gear. Positive, right? And the auto pitch up. I'm going to go ahead and trim for a neutral flight. Yoke condition. Do not want to be fighting the controls. And let's go ahead and remove flaps 1 and slats. A little bit of rain. And we are approaching ITIPI. VNAV, LNAV, auto throttle, autopilot. Everything's in green. We are on autopilot. As a matter of fact, I would kindly request that that lady stops talking. So we are already in climb power on auto throttle, flying the flight plan through IFR conditions. And you saw how easy that transition was. All you do is advance the throttles, follow the magenta flight bar in your PFD, and this aircraft is 100% capable of flying the numbers. Let's go outside. I'll stop yapping for a second. There we are. So, we are flying the route, but what I'd like to do is let's just go down here. Next hop, 59 miles to flight level 290. So let's see if we can do that. Close enough for now. And once we are in the climb and closer to 290, I will go ahead and bring you guys back closer to 29,000. So I'll skip a little bit of time here, but that's okay because I just let the airplane do the singing and the views do the viewing. Okay, currently topped out here at 29,100 feet. And we need to go to Aru at 29,600 feet and approximately 2 miles. So let's go ahead and we'll do that. I'll queue up a flight level change. 316 indicated. As a matter of fact, we just cropped on over to Royst, flight level 360, 36,000 feet. There we go. Rotate the other knob. Everything's good. We are in climb power. No anomalies. Even though we have no passengers, we'll just take the smoking and seatbelt sign off. And 6,000 feet to go, 36,000. Now, obviously, if we look down here, we have quite a while, right? I mean, these numbers are small right here in comparison, 108, 107. But, I mean, yeah. There's 9 pages of waypoints here, and they're all, yeah, no-go, 330. It's going to be a while before we get to Japan. Let's just say it that way. Okay. Above the cloud base. It's great. Everything's fantastic. We get up to 40,000 feet. I'll get back to you with an update in approximately, let's see. Well, we'll skip all that out for you. So 40,000 feet would be Nubda. So we'll see you at Nubda when we've done our step climbs all the way up to our cruising altitude. Catch you in a second. And while I'm at it, as a matter of fact, go ahead and show you those checklists there, right? We're just going to catch up on all the stuff that we essentially didn't do. Item override. Wondering if I can. There we go. So, they are all here, of course, after takeoff, descent, landing gear and flaps, normal, and then there's a non-normal right before start. Go ahead and clean these all up so that the machine essentially does not get upset on our descent. Not sure if it will or won't, but we'll do it anyway. There we go. So we are all set for the descent phase on a normal so far, assuming nothing goes wrong in the meantime with any failures. That is something I just wanted to show you. Of course, if you want to access them, all of the pages are here. Checklist, communications, right? Throttle quadrants are a little in the way, but nav, flight control, gears, pressures, temperatures, doors all closed, electrics, hydraulics, good quantities, fuel, 164,000, essentially at 35,000 feet, climbing at 1,200 foot a minute. So we burned some fuel, getting to 35,000, but everything's good. Everything's looking good. Air temperatures, well done. Now, if you were so inclined to look at the terrain, right? Airports, data, top of climb actually shows. Let's zoom in here. 10 nautical mile range total. So approaching 5 nautical miles there for Royst. top of climb, we reached it. So we made 36,000 feet before we actually hit Royst. Fantastic. There's your radar scanning, waypoints, weather, all that. It's here. Ground speed 505, true airspeed 490, with winds 25 knots out of 170. So we have a tailwind right off of our left tail, pushing us forward and to the right slightly. 36,000, that's actually really good. It won't stay that way forever, but we are sort of sailboating here, right? We're getting a little bit of help with the push, so we're going to hopefully cut down a little bit of that 10.5 hours, because again, I am going to sit here for all of that. So, well, I'll probably have a sandwich or something, but yeah, we're going to let the time clock roll. So we'll see at 40,000. Status update. Okay, so welcome to 38,500 feet, and let's go ahead and bring up the Navigraph chart there. You can see we are just about halfway, I would say. Just under 2,000 nautical miles to go of a 4,000 plus nautical mile route over the northern hemisphere here, and we are currently stretching out towards the end of the Aleutian Islands here off of Alaska, right? So we're headed south-southwest towards our destination, Romeo Juliet Bravo Bravo, Kansai Airport. And it is indicating we have about 4 hours and 15 minutes till we arrive, probably a little bit more than that when you consider that we're going to be slowing down on our descent and approach, our star and everything else, right? We are going 81.5% the speed of sound. That's Mach 0.815. So the fuel scheduling in the engines and fuel management seems to be pretty accurate for sure. So if you look at our screens here, we have a total of 90.2, that's 90,200 pounds of fuel. The port wing has 45.1, and the starboard wing has 45.1, so they're very well balanced. And if we look at our progress page here, it's saying that we're going to arrive with this type of altitude and fuel burn at cruise of 0.815 with 27,000 pounds to spare when we reach Kansai. So At this point in time, everything's going well. There are no amber alerts or anything on any of the screens. Everything is good. All of our stats are good. And when we get closer, we'll go ahead and we'll take a peek at this. I was fiddling about with the landing dispatch and the landing en route and getting some sort of numbers as to the kind of length that we are going to need for 24 right on our final approach, and how I was going to correlate that into which auto brake we use, whether we use 1, 2, 3, or 4, maybe even max, but we should not need anywhere near max braking effort with reverse thrusters and spoilers. So we will deal with that EFB, obviously closer towards descent, and we'll have to also update our numbers in the system here for the approach with the flaps, because we'll calculate that more, or the computer rather will calculate that more accurately when the numbers are closer to the final destination to get us better approach speeds and VREF speeds and everything like that. But so far, cloud coverage everywhere, and everything's going to plan. So, that being said, still running the simulator at regular rate. The plane is doing a phenomenal job with everything automated. We still have to get up to 40,000 feet, flight level 400 in just a while here, but I've gone ahead and stayed at 38.5 to save a little bit of fuel instead of going to flight level 360, because we're going to burn fuel less at a less faster pace the higher we are. So rather than staying low for longer, I stay high earlier, if that makes sense. But you can see it's still on there, and we'll be picking up a little bit of speed as we get up to that altitude from 0.815 to 0.834 or thereabouts. So everything's going great in the grand scheme of things, and I'd say we've probably been in the air for 4.5 hours maybe now in real time. So things are looking good. We're flying west, which means we have more daylight because we're flying with the sunset, right? So we may be landing in the evening, maybe landing midday. I have not checked the progress page. It says here that we should be arriving essentially at 0401 Zulu. So we'll see how that goes. It's all speed and route variant, right? Or dependable. So seems to be pretty accurate though. Once we're closer towards descent, if I bring this back up again, you'll be able to see a little bit longer on our route, right? We'll start coming down. I'm sure somewhere's in this area here, right? When we start heading towards Japan off of the northeast side of the island is probably where I'll bring us back. Maybe just an update. We'll do some of the approach information, and we'll also mess with the EFB for the landing specifications. So there you have it. See you in a bit. Welcome back to the co-pilot position this time. We are indeed at 40,000 feet, and hopefully you like what you see out the windows here, because that is indeed landmass. We are over the northeastern edge of Japan, and we are actually approaching. Let me position myself here in the seat, and I will show you that we are indeed approaching our destination, 261 nautical miles down here on the lower right hand corner. And just a couple cool things. Tokyo Narita, fun airport to fly into. And Tokyo Haneda International, also a fun airport. I mean, look at this road system here. Tokyo is definitely a bucket list place, as well as Japan in general is a place that I would love to visit some point in my days. So, if we're lucky, when we get over this area here, we'll be able to maybe look out of our left windows there at Mount Fuji. Maybe it'll have snow on it. I'm not sure. Obviously, this is late June. Probably not, but it should be interesting to see. It's pretty high in terms of mountains, right? So I think I'll have to bring you back when we cross that part of the journey, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to see out of our left windows, maybe even externally, if there's a break in the clouds, and get to view it just before we actually start descending soon into Kansai International. So once we're in the descent, after hopefully the view of Mount Fuji, we'll bring you right back. And just a couple of last second updates here. You'll see on our screen, top of descent is coming right up, and then that hodgepodge of all types of craziness there in white. That's what we're going to be flying for the route. And coincidentally, let's go ahead and show you, if you've never seen what Kansai looks like before, that's it. I know it looks small, but believe me, it is a massive man-made island. And we will be landing on essentially right here, 24 right. So there's that, and then there's all kinds of pages here that we could look at for parking spots and coordinates that give us essentially everything you would want to know. Rotorcraft parking, surface painted signs, taxi routes. I mean, just the whole kit. Everything you'd want. So we're going to just cruise around here after we land, figure out where we want to park. I'm thinking probably somewhere's in Q. Yeah, that'll be nice. Right in Q, right? So we'll see what's available once we get there, but I just wanted to show you the layout of the airport briefly and give you an idea of exactly what we're headed towards. So yeah, top descent's there. Bring you in probably towards Maya at the transition for the star, and then we'll do the rest of it in real time. Welcome to Japan. Okay, so coincidentally, the airport is literally right below our nose, essentially right off there. Let's go ahead and just check before we get too far behind. We'll import the weather and make sure that everything is good. And we do indeed have everything correct. So 134 is what they're asking for on the approach speeds. 130, but we're set for 131. So we'll do 30 degrees of flaps, and we'll see if we can 130. And we'll program that in there as the plane is making the turn. And then we'll need to go down to 4,000 feet next. And it's still going down. Flight level change, let's just do 4,000. From Maya through the clouds here. And Maya is 11 nautical miles out ahead of us to the right. It's saying that we will reach that line with the green arc. Approximately going down at 1,500, 1,600, 1,700 feet a minute. Landing gear is out, and well, landing lights rather, two different things. We are still on the page here. Let's throw auto brakes to 1. Let's arm the speed brakes. And we'll need to slow on down here so that we can put the gear out. And the next thing we're going to do here is essentially put the landing gear down. Just slowing down a bit here. We've got a reference. Everything's okay with that. And let's go ahead and throw in some flaps here. Kansai out of the window there, and that final right-hand turn. We're just using the two whites over the two reds here because when you have a brand new release from PMDG, why let the autopilot do the fun? It's our turn to fly this, so I kind of just wanted to experience this. Speed brake is not actually extended, by the way, on the Amber Alert. I've just armed it. But here we are. After 4,000 plus nautical miles, 8.5, 9, 10 hours, whatever it was. Beautiful. Everything's working out. 4 whites, it's okay. We're high and a little slow. Let's hit some reverse. And let's see if we can make this exit to get over to the exit way that we spoke about earlier. And retracts on the spoilers. Let's bring the flaps up. And then let's back taxi all the way to a nice parking spot. Welcome to the ground here in Kansai. See you at the parking spot. And I think we're just gonna pull in here to the right. And then we'll perform a shutdown. Go ahead and turn all of our landing lights off while we're at it. Okay, let's go ahead and throw on our parking brake. And let's just check all this. Hydraulic panels, fuel pumps off, all of that off. Flaps up, parking brake set, fuel controls to cut off. However, we want an APU running for that. So we'll get that running before we shut the engines down. Coincidentally, let's go ahead and look at some of the fuel burn there. So it was pretty close, I would say. Despite me at, low altitude manipulating the throttles there on final approach, we are standing at 24,900 pounds. It predicted anywhere from 25 to 27, so right there, it's right there. Romeo, Juliet, Bravo, Bravo, 25.2 was modified a little bit basically by the computer on the plane because of the the throttle up and down there on the final approach. But other than that, I mean, very accurate. Within, what's that, 300, 400 pounds, give or take. I mean, so and that was all real time. So it certainly has the ability for sure to be able to predict how much fuel burn, especially when you upload from the Navigraph, so to speak, with the predicted fuel load. So we'll turn our engines off. And we are here. We are here. Kansai in Japan, all the way from picking up the aircraft at Payne Field in Washington State. Excellent. Turn all of our stuff off now, and I'll wrap it up with some final thoughts. Yes, it's an expensive plane, but if ever you were to purchase something that was worth the long haul, right? This is an aircraft that, can fly itself. I am no 777 captain, no 100%, not experienced with the aircraft, and for the automation level that this plane provides, it gives you the ability to fly like a pro because of how well the systems in this plane are designed. That's a testament to Boeing. That's also a testament to PMDG and their coding, for sure. They are professionals at what they do, and it is well worth the price of admission, in my opinion. And that flight, for me, especially when you look at how accurate the fuel burn was, how simulated the weight was, the flex you have out here in the wings, right, during the turbulence, everything you've got in terms of systems and functionality. We had no failures, but that's okay. I would never wish for a failure on any plane at any time, but they're available to you if you want to simulate engine outs and things like that. So we crossed the Bering Sea, we crossed over the Aleutian Islands, we reached northern Japan, we even saw Mount Fuji, and we made it to see another video on another day. So that being said, hope you enjoyed the flight. Hope you stuck around for the whole thing. It was a long one, but on an aircraft of this scale with this type of range, you have to do a long haul flight. You just have to. You can't rapid review something like this. So until the next video, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Take care. See you later.